on the shores of the great inland sea, the last scene is to be played out where the first scene began. Here is Peter back in his boat, fishing, back to the place that brings comfort to his mind and his heart, to that place of memory and gentler, simpler times. For him, you see, the Christ adventure really is over. It's done, gone. It vanished in the denial of friendship. The fearless stalwart, the hero, the one who would always be there, cut and ran. And others must have felt the same, for they were there too. All of them going back, class reunion at the lake, a simpler place, a simpler time. They didn't catch anything, a rather inauspicious beginning. I suspect Peter might not have had his heart or mind in it. He would have perhaps been thinking about another time on the lake when the master told them where to cast their nets and the fish almost burst the nets. And then suddenly there was someone on the shore telling them, over there, cast your nets over there. They did. Droves and droves of fish, herds and herds, flocks and flocks, whatever. Suddenly, John is shaking Peter out of his reveries. Look, do you see him? It's Jesus. Peter shades his eyes. It's a miracle. The next hour would be for Peter worth a lifetime. The leaping from the boat, the encounter on the beach, the meal around the fire, and somehow, Peter finding himself alone with Jesus and a scrap of dialogue. Simon, son of John, do you love me? One of my professors used to say that this question, do you love me, is the great simplification of our faith. Notice, Jesus does not say, Simon, are you sure of the hermeneutical principles on which you will base the exegesis of my words, and are you properly prepared to understand the eschatological, soteriological, and axiological realities that confront you in your present ontological situation? And can you spell any of that anyway? Jesus simply said, do you love me? The poet cried, let your religion be less of a theory and more of a love affair. Peter, do you love me? The gospel, my professor would say, does not give us a problem, it gives us a person. Not an ism or an ology, but the Word made flesh. Not a system of metaphysics, but a master passion. A living Word to love and be loved forever. A simple question. Do you love me? This question represents the dynamic blending of Christ's redeeming love and patience on the one hand that pursued Peter back to that location of the class reunion on the other. A love that tracked him down in the dawning of a new morning to bring the ruins of a broken heart a new life. How many of us have ever cried, for what I've done, no one could love me? Peter felt that way. Have you? But Jesus did exactly that. He loved Peter. And that question saved Peter from the self-destruction of despair and guilt and self-doubt. Christ comes over the horizon each and every day to ask this simple, saving question of us. Do you love me? In response, Peter replies, yes, Lord, you know I love you. Now, frankly, who gives two hoots and a handbasket about Peter's word? His honor is besmirched. But Peter's words are nothing short of a claim on the incredible grace of God. It was the only claim Peter had, and ultimately and finally, it is the only claim we have.